What's up guys, it's Chief here from Chief Live Gaming. Today, I want to talk about Nurgle conversion work. As you guys might know, I love Nurgle. I specialize in Nurgle conversions, and I've had a lot of people ask me what techniques I use or how exactly that I do some of the conversion work with green stuff that I've done on my past models. So what I'm going to do is show you guys exactly how that whole process goes. We're going to do a brief overview of the process, and hopefully that can help some of you guys out. So what I'm going to do now before we get into it is show you guys an example of a rhino that I've done, and just to give you an idea of what we're shooting for. So I'm going to show you that now. All right, so now that we know what we're shooting for, let's go over the materials we're going to need to get started. First of all, when working with green stuff, this is the tool I go for most often. This is just a simple pick, and you can get these at pretty much any hardware store online. And I use this to manipulate the green stuff, and I'll show you that in a second. I also use some really handy household objects. These are just pieces of a pen. This here, obviously just a pen cap, and the inside piece of a pen. And the purpose of these tools are these rounded, hollow surfaces here, these circles. So you can really pick anything that you can find laying around your house. These are what I go to most frequently because their size is just convenient for what I'm trying to do. So take a look around your house, see what you can find. You're gonna need a little bit of water, and of course, the green stuff itself. So, a couple things to remember when you're working with green stuff. Whatever tool you're using to manipulate the green stuff needs to be wet. You need to make sure that you dip it in water first. Just get a little damp. You can even, tap off the excess water just so it's damp before you actually start working with the green stuff. Otherwise, your tools will stick to the green stuff. You'll pull it apart. It gets messy. Make sure you just go ahead and dip in the water every couple of seconds while you're working with it. You'll see me do it. Pay attention to how often I go ahead and do that because that's very important for you to do. So what we're going to do now, we're going to mix up the green stuff, and I have this lovely project rhino here that I'm going to add just a little bit of work to for you guys on camera so you can go ahead and see what that looks like. Okay guys, so we're going to go ahead and mix this green stuff together, and what I like to do, as you just saw, I just dip it right in the water and go ahead. I'm going to do this as best I can for you guys on the camera. I just keep twisting the two parts together until you get a nice consistent green color. You want it to be uniform. You want it to all look nice and blended together. You have a little while to work with this as it is in this state, so you don't have to rush yourself necessarily, but you also don't want to, dally. So that looks pretty good, right? Nice and blended. And this is just a small piece. So I'm gonna make just a little area like that. And I'm going to place it right on the top hatch here because this is where I'm going to want a little bit of overgrowth to be. So just like that, stick it down. You don't want it too thin, but remember that as you work with it, you're going to be pushing this around. It has to go somewhere, right? So we're going to be pushing the green stuff around as we work with it. So you want to make sure you do have some thickness there to work with. Okay, so that's all done. Now, move the water here so you guys can see it a little better. How about that? We're going to use our pick, and what I'm going to do first is go around the edges. So I'm going to dip it in the water. It's a little bit difficult to do at this angle, but I'm just going to go around the edges like this and smooth out all the way around and just make a nice kind of transition between the surface of the rhino and where the green stuff starts. So I'm going to do that for you guys real quick, and then I'll come back. Okay, so just something like that, very basic to start. Again, you're just making the transition. Seamless transition as much as possible. That should be what you've got so far. Now we're going to add the pustules and the little bits of character to the actual Nurgle area. Now, we're going back to the round pieces we found earlier. Remember, get it damp first. We're just going to come in, push on there, and see how we're making a nice little circle. Easy enough. Use your discretion here. You can decide how many of these you want. And I like to switch to the different sides then. And I just use these two sizes for the majority of my projects. Come through. And I'm going to poke some holes on the rest of that. I'm going to speed that up and then I'll come back to you guys. Okay, so now you can see it's starting to take shape, starting to look a little bit more like what we want. Now this part is actually the easiest next. What we're going to do is go back to our pick tool and go around all these pustules that we've made. Try my best to keep it on camera here. And we're just going to kind of poke into the areas here. Hope you can see that. And work all the green stuff in between the pustules, avoiding the actual pustules themselves for now. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so as you guys might recall from the beginning of the video, I mentioned that you have to push the green stuff somewhere when you're working with it. I like to think about it that way. And what we've done here is depressed the area in between the pustules we made and gave it a little bit of texture and a little bit of character. Made it look nice and pockmarked and Nurgle-y. So this does a couple things. It highlights the areas you want your well, the person that's looking at your model to focus on, which are the pustules and just the general awesomeness of your overgrowth that you've made here. And it also provides some nice raised areas for you when you can start painting, which is great for something like dry brushing, which is very, very fast, and also washing, just fast painting techniques. And that's why I choose to do a lot of this stuff this way, because it's very, very easy to paint and get a very good look. So the last thing that we have to do is give a little bit of texture to these round pockmarks, because they do look a little bit, or pustules, because they do look a little bit too round and not very natural like this. So what we're going to do, first of all, is come up onto these and just very lightly, very lightly, put some holes, very light touches on here, just to give them a little bit of defined character. Just like that. As you can see, it really helps to kind of blend everything together and finish off the look. And we're also going to come around the edges and very, very carefully, I'm going to get the best angle I can here for you guys. We're going to pull these down into the surrounding area just to make that transition a little smoother. See if you guys can see that there. Let's readjust my light here. How about that? And this is kind of to taste. Sometimes I like to leave them like that, where they're different and the edges are very defined and crisp. And sometimes I like to make them more, I guess, meshed in with the surrounding area. So I'm going to go do that really fast, just finish texturing this, and then I'm going to show you guys what a very rough finished look will be. So as you can see, this step's pretty fast. We're just making everything blend together a little bit more, and that's really all there is to it, guys. You can go ahead and finish this up by correcting and accenting some of the transition again. You can pull this stuff out a little more like that and make some more unique transitions. You can go ahead and smooth out some of the areas in here. You can make some more pock marks, whatever you want to do, but really guys, that's all there is to it. So now what you want to do is sit this down, let it dry overnight, or I think they suggest 24 hours. I usually just let it go overnight, and then you can prime it. So do all the areas you're going to do on the model, let it sit for like roughly 24 hours, and then you can prime it. And I just so happen to have one here that I've done that. So here we can see the same kind of stuff. I've integrated some more fancy techniques into here, but you can see just the same basic concepts that we talked about throughout this rhino. Just the pock marks, very simple, very easy, all throughout this rhino. And that's how easy it is, guys. You can do this very fast, very easily with not, you know, you don't need specialty tools to do something like this. You don't need a lot of fancy equipment, just a pick and a pen. All right, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. For the next video, we're going to talk about how to paint this technique here and get some really good results really quickly. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.